What if NASA is all a lie? Not a single, simple lie, but the entire thing. A 6-decade, multi-trillion-dollar performance. Think about the image. The noble explorers, the right stuff, the giant leap for mankind, the stunning images from the James Webb Telescope, the rovers on Mars, the missions for the benefit of all. What if that is all a magnificent piece of theater? A show designed for a single purpose, to mask their true directive. What if the organization we trust to be our window to the universe has, in fact, become a wall? A gatekeeper? A great, impenetrable shield, standing between humanity and the single greatest truth of our existence. Tonight, on Planet Unveiled, we are not asking if NASA is hiding something. We are connecting the dots. We are following a 60-year trail of classified documents, censored images, lost data, and astronaut testimonies that lead to one inescapable and terrifying conclusion. This is not a story about little green men. This is a story about a discovery so profound, so reality-shattering, that a protocol was established before we ever even left the planet. A protocol of denial, dismissal, and systematic burial of the truth. This is the story of what they really found, and the desperate multi-decade-long cover-up they enacted to ensure we would never find it. The protocol of silence. Our story begins not in the cold of space, but in a quiet, carpeted room in Washington, D.C. in 1960. NASA is barely 2 years old. The first human has not even orbited the Earth. And yet, they commissioned a highly influential report from a prestigious think tank, the Brookings Institution. The title was Proposed Studies on the Implications of Peaceful Space Activities for Human Affairs. It sounds harmless, a bureaucratic formality, but buried deep within its pages is the motive, the protocol, the why behind 60 years of lies. The report asks a simple, terrifying question. What happens if we are successful? What happens if we find them? Not just microbes, but artifacts, technology, intelligence. The conclusions, written in cold, academic language, are the most chilling part. The report warned that a discovery of intelligent life would be catastrophic. It stated, and I quote, "Anthropological files contain many examples of societies sure of their place in the universe, which have disintegrated when they had to associate with previously unfamiliar societies." It warned that our religious institutions, the bedrock of human civilization for millennia, would collapse. It warned that our scientific foundations, our governments, our entire social structure would fail. The public, it concluded, was not ready. And then, the Brookings report delivers its primary directive. It officially recommended that NASA should consider withholding such a discovery from the world. Think about that. Before we had even left the planet, a plan was in place. Not to announce the greatest discovery in human history, but to bury it. This protocol was activated almost immediately. The right stuff, astronauts of the Mercury and Gemini programs were the first to see the anomalies. John Glenn, on Friendship 7, reported fireflies surrounding his capsule that didn't behave like ice. Then, Major Gordon Cooper, one of the original Mercury 7, on his final mission, Faith 7, he reported a greenish, glowing object approaching his capsule. The object was tracked on the ground by the Machia tracking station. It was real. When Cooper landed, he was immediately debriefed by NASA officials and forbidden from ever speaking about it again. This established the pattern. See something, report it, and it will be buried. The astronauts learned a rule. If you want to keep flying, you keep your mouth shut. The moon, the great deception. The protocol was put to its ultimate test on July 20th, 1969. The Apollo 11 mission. We have all seen the grainy footage. We have all heard the words. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. But what we were not supposed to hear was the 2 full minutes of communication silence. 2 minutes where the public feed went dead. The transmission, however, did not stop. It was merely rerouted. For decades, amateur radio operators and NASA insiders have claimed that what was said in those 2 minutes was the real story. According to these reports, Armstrong's first words were tense. "They're here." When Mission Control asked for clarification, the alleged reply was, "These babies are huge, sir. Enormous. I'm telling you, there are other spacecraft out here. Lined up on the far side of the crater edge. They're on the moon, watching us." This wasn't an isolated incident. During the Apollo 10 mission, as the crew orbited the far side of the moon, completely cut off from Earth radio, their internal recorders captured an unearthly, whistling sound. Music, as the astronauts themselves called it. For decades, this audio was classified. When finally released, NASA's official explanation was radio interference. But the astronauts themselves never bought it. After Apollo 17 in 1972, we just stopped going. We had built the Saturn V, the most powerful machine in human history. We had plans for Apollo 18, 19, and 20, and we scrapped it. The official reason? Budget cuts. You do not scrap your flagship program, the single greatest achievement in human history, because of budget cuts. The warned-off theory suggests the Brookings Protocol was in full effect. We were told to leave. The most shocking evidence? NASA didn't just mothball the Saturn V blueprints. They destroyed them. You don't destroy your greatest invention unless you're being forced to. The men who came back changed. And once they were free from NASA's control, they began to talk. Dr. Edgar Mitchell, the sixth man on the moon, spent his life stating unequivocally that the UFO phenomenon is real, and we have been visited. Gordon Cooper, the Mercury astronaut, testified before the UN, stating extraterrestrial vehicles are visiting this planet. Even Buzz Aldrin spoke of a monolith on Mars's moon Phobos, asking, "Who put that there?" These heroes weren't liars. They were trying to undo the lie they had been forced to be a part of. The Cydonia complex, a buried civilization. The moon's secret was buried under budget reports and classified data. But NASA's own technology was getting too good. Their probes were now heading deeper, to Mars. And Mars was not silent. In 1976, the Viking 1 orbiter flew over a region called Cydonia, and it photographed a face, staring back into the blackness of space. A mile-long, humanoid visage, staring up from the red dust. When the image was made public, the world erupted. This was it, the proof. NASA's response was immediate and cold. Jet Propulsion Laboratory scientists dismissed it as a trick of light and shadow. A simple mesa, a natural landform. Pareidolia, they called it. The human tendency to see patterns in random data. But this is what NASA doesn't want to talk about. The face was the hook, but the region, the Cydonia region, is the evidence. Just miles away from the face sat a collection of other anomalous structures. A five-sided, massive pyramid, dubbed the D&M Pyramid. Natural mountains do not form in perfect, five-sided pyramids. Nearby, a structure called the Fort, with two straight walls and a perfect right angle. And then, the city, a collection of smaller, pyramidal mounds, laid out in what appeared to be a deliberate, geometric grid. Researchers who analyzed the mathematics of the Cydonia complex claimed to find staggering proof of design. Deliberate mathematical ratios. The values of pi and e allegedly encoded in the angles and distances between the structures. This was not pareidolia. This was architecture. NASA promised that later missions with better cameras would prove it was all just rocks. And they did. Sort of. In the 1990s and 2000s, new orbiters took new pictures, and NASA presented them to the public with a triumphant, "I told you so." See? Just a broken down, lumpy hill. But look closer. The images they released were taken through thick, hazy dust, or from such an extreme, oblique angle that it was impossible to make out any detail. This wasn't an investigation. It was an obfuscation. And ask yourself this. In over 50 years of exploring Mars, why have we never sent a rover to Cydonia? Why not drive right up to the face and end the debate? Because they know what they will find. The rover's secret mission. The cover-up isn't just orbital. It's happening on the surface. The rovers are NASA's eyes and ears, and they're programmed to lie. The Curiosity rover's route is carefully planned. Over the years, it has accidentally photographed countless anomalies. A thigh bone, perfectly shaped. A floating spoon. A perfect geometric pyramid just a few feet tall. A strange, carved-looking statue half buried in the sand. Each time, NASA's explanation is the same. Pareidolia, a natural rock formation. A trick of light and shadow. How many times can pareidolia happen before it becomes a pattern of evidence? How many natural rocks break at perfect 90-degree angles? Then there's the methane. For years, orbiters and the Curiosity rover have detected plumes of methane gas. These plumes appear in the Martian spring and disappear in winter. On Earth, 90% of all methane is biological. It's the waste product of life. NASA's official explanation: unknown geological processes. They will not say the L word, life, because if they admit to microbes, the next question is, what else? What built the face? This is the NASA playbook. Deny, dismiss, and if that doesn't work, distract. In 2015, NASA held a massive press conference to announce liquid water on Mars. The world media cheered. A huge discovery. But wait, this wasn't a discovery. NASA's own Viking lander had proven there was water ice in 1976. So why announce it again, 40 years later, as new? Because of the timing. This new water announcement happened in the exact same week that new, independent analysis of the Cydonia region showed, once again, that the face and the pyramids had a clear, deliberate, artificial geometry. They were burying the real story with a story they had already told. The message and the messenger. The cover-up nearly held. But in the 21st century, the universe itself began to provide evidence. Evidence so clear, so loud, that NASA could no longer control it. The year is 2011. A team at the Allen Telescope Array, part of the SETI Institute, an organization that works very closely with NASA, giving them plausible deniability. They are cataloging fast radio bursts, or FRBs. The official NASA explanation for these is magnetars, a natural, non-threatening, case-closed explanation. But in 2011, they caught a signal that was not a magnetar. Let's call it FRB 201107. It was a burst, yes, but it was not noise. When the signal was captured and analyzed, it contained a complex, repeating mathematical structure, a prime number sequence embedded inside a carrier wave. This is the universal hello. In the film Contact, this is exactly how the aliens made first contact. It's the one signal that cannot be natural. Prime numbers are a product of intelligence. It was, without any doubt, a techno-signature. A message. It came from a dark patch of sky between the constellations Lyra and Cygnus. The Brookings Protocol went to DEFCON 1. The data was classified. The project was shuttered. The file was buried so deep, it officially did not exist. For 6 years, NASA's secret cabal sat on this truth. They knew there was an intelligence out there. And then, in 2017, something happened that they could not classify. They could not bury, because the whole world saw it coming. October 19th, 2017, the Pan-STARRS 1 telescope in Hawaii. It found an object. It's not from here. The object's trajectory is hyperbolic. It's our first confirmed interstellar visitor. They gave it a name, Oumuamua, Hawaiian for the first scout or messenger from afar. And this messenger broke all the rules. It was not a round rock. It was shaped like a cigar or a thin, flat disk. It had no coma, no tail of gas and dust. This was not a comet. And it accelerated. As it looped around our sun, it sped up, pushed by a force that was not gravity. The smoking gun and the new space race. NASA's official story went into overdrive. Their explanations became desperate. It's a special comet with invisible gas. It's a nitrogen iceberg. It's a cosmic dust bunny. They were throwing anything at the wall. Anything except the truth. This is when the former chair of astronomy at Harvard University, Professor Avi Loeb, put his career on the line. He said the only explanation that fit all the data was that Oumuamua was a light sail. a piece of artificial technology, a probe, a scout. The reaction was not scientific debate. It was an assassination. Avi Loeb was instantly ridiculed, called a crackpot by NASA-funded blogs. Why this violent, desperate reaction? Because Oumuamua was the one thing they couldn't control. But here's the smoking gun, the final, terrifying connection. The 2011 message, FRB201107, the one they buried. Where did it come from? The constellation Lyra. Now, Oumuamua, the 2017 messenger. Where did it come from? The exact same point in the sky. The direction of Lyra. Do you see? The panic wasn't about a rock. The panic was because the scout had arrived from the exact same place as the message they had intercepted 6 years earlier. This wasn't a random encounter. It was a follow-up. They had sent a signal, and now they had sent a probe to see if we were home. To cover their tracks, NASA needed an alibi. They got one in 2019 with 2I/Borisov, a normal interstellar comet with a big, gassy tail. NASA promoted it everywhere. See? Interstellar visitors are common. Oumuamua was just a weird one-off. Borisov was the alibi. This brings us to today. Why the sudden, desperate push for Artemis and a moon base at the Shackleton crater to secure the anomalies the Clementine mission found. Why the creation of Space Force? You don't build a new military branch unless you're preparing for a new enemy. Why is the James Webb Telescope finding galaxies that break the Big Bang model? Because the universe is far older and far stranger than they have ever let on. The secret NASA is hiding is not one thing. It's everything. It is the Brookings report, the motive. It is the Apollo astronauts' testimony, the first contact. It is the ruins at Cydonia, the ancient evidence. It is the signal from Lyra, the message. And it is Oumuamua, the messenger. It is the single, shattering truth that we are not alone, that we have never been alone. The Brookings report was correct about one thing. The truth would break our world. And so, the gatekeepers at NASA continue their mission, not for the benefit of all, but for the preservation of the lie. You have been watching Planet Unveiled. Keep questioning, keep searching, and never, ever trust the official story.